Hi, my fellow Africans. Let's have this conversation. There's something going on in Africa that our leaders are doing that we need to discuss this. I don't know what your takes are, but I want us to discuss this. Sometimes it's painful to see or to hear or to even watch. See what's happening with our leaders. See this. So recently, reports came in that there's have been some new summits that's going on. And I want us to check it out. So African Facts don't share this. It says African countries signed deals with $3.5 billion at the 2024 Indonesia Africa Summit in Bali. Good. China pledged $50 billion to African countries at the 2024 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. Again, Italy pledged $5 billion to support the development in Africa at the 2024 Italy-Africa Summit. Now, there is also a US Africa Leaders Summit, France Africa Summit, India Africa Forum Summit, Saudi Africa Summit, German African Business Summit, US Africa Business Summit, Tokyo International Conference on African Development, Brazil Africa Summit, Africa Turkey Partnership Summit, and European Union Africa Union Summit. What is this? What do you see here? How does one country summon 54 countries for a sit and talk of a debate of pledging billions of dollars, some $5 billion, some $3 billion, some $50 billion in the name of summit by calling 54 leaders from one continent? How? So are you telling me that one day we also wake up and see Burundi or Malawi also holding Burundi European Summit or Burundi Asia Summit? Will they actually wake up and see something like that? Do you think they will actually even mind us to come this far? What is happening with our leaders? Well, as this was shared by African Fact Zone, some Africans were actually not feeling happy, as I'm not feeling happy about this. So let's dive inside and have some quick conversation. Okay, let's go. All right, so some of the comments are, this one says, why are single nations having summit with the whole continent? Again, this one also says Africa must come out of its beggar status. We are not orphans. Are you sure, my brother? We are actually orphans. This one came in and says, with the kind of leaders Africa parades, we have become the laughing stock of world. Africans are considered retarded and unable to self-govern properly. African leaders get courtesies as head of state but not regarded much. Behind their backs, they are considered as rogues. Okay, might have actually shared the saddest truth here. These African leaders, I don't know how they think, but how does one country, Turkey summit, Italy, Indonesia, a country that Africa have more resources and more land than them, are holding a summit promising us to give 54 countries $3.5 billion. How much is even only the worth of minerals in one African country worth? I'm sure that one African country minerals is worth about $1 trillion. So how are you sitting down for 3.5 billion to be shared to 54 countries and you actually fly in there with the plane? State taxes were actually funding this plane that you went with, the hotel fee, everything was actually funded by your government, and you come back and to be shared with 3.5 billion with 54 countries. How much do you think your country will actually earn with this money? You will actually be given just $20 million, and that $20 million, if you ask the president how much expenses they spend with just moving the plane to Indonesia and come back, it's about $5 million. Now, left with how much? Meanwhile, your country is worth trillions of dollars with the resources they have, only just for our leaders to just make a simple, better deals with them. Simple, better deals, the deals that actually can transform, develop the countries in Africa. They are not doing it. They're actually chasing aids and some money that will be shared between 54 countries. They all want quick money. Why? Let's take Ghana for instance. Ghana have cocoa, gold, bauxite, timber. All these things combined with them can actually generate more than that $3.5 billion they actually fly in to sit down and hear, to be shared with among themselves. If Africa as a continent is to hold their mineral resources high esteem, Africa, even one small village in Africa can hold a world summit and every other country will come. Because if you know the value of your resources you have, everyone will actually need it. But how does it even transfer to this? Why? African leaders. So my people in Africa, let's have this conversation here. Don't you think Africa have enough resources to actually need to hold this summit for them to come here? Or don't you think these 3.5 billion, 5 billion, $50 billion to be shared within these 54 countries, our resources can actually generate even more than this if we actually have good leaders, good plans, good deals with these foreign countries, we can actually earn more than these aids that we are flying and chasing each other day. A continent of 54 countries to be chasing some mere of $3.5 billion. What was your annual GDP or annual what should I call it? What do you call this? Budget for the year. If all of you went for that $3.5 billion, what was your budget this year, 2024? How much was your budget? Some African countries have a huge budget of a yearly about $5 billion and $10 billion. So how much would that $3.5 billion do for the whole continent? If it comes into consideration with the tax you collect and also the mineral resources you have at your disposal. Should you guys actually be chasing these kind of funds and money? These are some questions I'm asking myself, and I'm also asking you as a fellow African. In the comment section, let me know what you think about this move and how best do you think these are to you, okay? Now let's check about the recent one they actually went, which was the Indonesia summit. What the Indonesians think about this 3.5 billion, the so-called they are sharing to our leaders in Africa. So AfriStats and Poll shed or threw more light about this and says Indonesia aims for 3.5 billion in agreement at Africa summit. It says Indonesia is set to finalize 3.5 billion in business agreement with African nations at the second Indonesia-Africa Forum in Bali, significantly surpassing the 600 million in deals from 2018. Alright, so he's saying that in 2018, Indonesia actually spent $600 million on Africa Summit. But this year, they have increased it from 600 million to 3.5 billion. The question is, what have Indonesians seen that they have actually increased their business with Africa to this huge amount? That means they're getting something for free or something for less cheaper than they ever thought. They never actually decided to actually venture in Africa or understood why some leaders in the western side or Asian side actually coming down in Africa. They decided to share at least some $600 million on the continent. They say like, no, wait. We just pump in $600 million and we're getting this in return. How about we pump more? And definitely they have actually pumped more. 3.5 billion this time. Hopefully they are going to earn more than $1 trillion back, because our leaders doesn't actually know how to strike better deals with these kind of people to actually demand the rightful payments we actually deserve as a continent. They used 600 million in 2018, and now they are saying that no, Africa is actually sweet. They need to add more. Now they are adding this amount to it. Indonesia, of all countries, calling 54 countries to actually sit down to talk about their resources. This is insane. This is really insane. Okay, so this is it. This is what happening with our leaders, and this was a conversation I wanted us to think and talk about it. This Africa summit with these small countries, Africa summit with Turkey. Come on, with Italy. How big is Italy? Only Benin or Togo or somewhere Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso in land is bigger than Italy. But see this, small Italy can call 54 countries to come and sit down to discuss about $3 billion. Meanwhile, the country that actually flew to sit down to discuss the $3 billion have a mineral deposits that they are sitting on, that if they are to calculate it will reach about trillions of dollars. But because of some shady deals they did, some loans they took, some aids that they took, all their mineral resources are not in their hands. And they are now being fooled or having only their hopes on aids from foreign or Western countries. Isn't this shameful? I think one of Africa's biggest problems is if our leaders actually strike better deal for us, our resources will make a better importance or meaningful for our lives. Also then, there will have been, I know seriously sooner they'll have a Taiwan Africa Summit. Taiwan. So that's more Malta African Summit will come. Those small countries, Barbados African Summit. Those small, even Comoros Island. Oh no, it's in Africa. Some small island in the somewhere the world will actually call Africa Summit and discuss just $2 million with us. And you see all our leaders flying to it because they are actually in for money, because they actually sat down with all the resources we have in this continent being wasted for how many years, only God knows. Okay, so let's have this conversation at the comment section. Let me see what you think and what other things you can also add. You are free to agree to disagree. I'm here to listen, okay? The next video I'll share, say, and I'll be at the comment section to have this conversation with you guys. Let me know your takes on this, and let's see how together we can actually prove and improve Africa and our leaders' thinking, and to help us develop this beautiful continent. Let me see what your takes on at the comment section. See you guys around.